entrepreneurship journey and how she conditioned her mind for success. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Dee Dee to the conversation. Give me just one moment so she can join us. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Dee Dee. How are you doing? Can you guys comment in the chat box if you can hear me? Dee Dee, can you hear me? Okay. So let me go ahead, you guys. I'm going to make sure that we hear Dee Dee. Let me add her back. All right, you gues. As Dee Dee is getting logged on, feel free to comment in the chat box. Let me know where you're.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yay! Okay.
Yay. So, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, welcome to the Black Women in Business series. I'm so looking forward to this interview with you today.
I'm in the house. I work from home. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
Fine. So, as everyone's getting logged onto the call, I was explaining to viewers that for the month of February, I'm interviewing Black women entrepreneurs on their journey of being an entrepreneur and thriving in their field. And this is actually the last interview for Black History Month. And so I'm honored to be interviewing you today. So can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for a living?
All right. I will just tell you, yes, my name is Dee Dee McGuire, and I'm the host of Dede in the Morning here in Dallas. My own morning show, which has been very rare that, women get a chance to actually be the main host. Normally we're the co-host on a morning show, but luckily in the last couple of years, things have changed. I've been hosting the show, Dede in the Morning, for the last 5 years. Before that, I was on a nationally syndicated show as the co-host on the Doug Banks show. And so, but currently right now, yeah, definitely in Dallas and waiting on that syndication. It's about to start soon.
Okay. Awesome. So had it always been your goal and aspiration to have your own morning show?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my hair. Look, ladies, get me on this, that we will look at ourselves and we're like, wait a minute, my hair is sticking up. I don't know why. Of course, for me, when I first got started in radio, you didn't see a lot of women at all in that position whatsoever. And it was very rare that you even saw a woman doing afternoons. She was normally doing middays or late nights and stuff. And so for me, it was a goal. I knew as soon as I got in the business, I loved what I was doing. And my goal, I set out to be like Tom Joyner. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be just like Tom Joyner, really.
Yeah. And so would you say that's your inspiration? Because just as I was researching you, I see that a lot of people are inspired by you. Who inspires you?
Actually, and I know it's going to sound cheesy, my mom, number one, because, my mother, I remember being a kid in Seattle. My mother had divorced and remarried. And married a guy, went to Germany for 3 years, and she took her 5 kids over there, not knowing anybody. Mm-hmm. And it was an adventure, and it was the best adventure of our lives. And I remember her always saying to me, go out, see the world, do as much as you can. When you set a goal, set a new goal and another goal and another. So she always encouraged me and inspired me to do more. So I would say my mom. And then, of course, looking at people, honestly, Tom Joyner, for me, growing up, he was the epitome of a radio disc jockey. I mean, and then he took ownership of his show and he was syndicated in ownership and then created Reach Media. So for me, I saw that it was possible, in R&B urban radio. And so it was an inspiration for me as well. But just to watch him and even Doug Banks, who I used to work with, they showed me that with hard work, and understanding this is a business and thinking of it that way, you could actually get your own show, syndication, and co-ownership. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I saw that you're one of few women who actually have their own show. Along your journey, did you face any naysayers or people say that it wasn't possible for you to?
Yeah. Are we is the sound still messing up? Are we okay? Can you hear me?
No, I hear you good.
Okay. Okay. Of course there were. There were a lot of people. Some people said that I got started in radio too late. A lot of people used to start in radio like when they were teenagers almost. And somebody once told me, I think I said I wanted to be in a major market. That would be your top 10 markets from, New York, LA, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas. And I remember telling somebody I was going to be there before I was 25, and they said, there's no way. Because I hadn't started in radio at 22. And they said, there's no way you're going to do it. And I was like, watch me. And I did. And for me, it fuels me. And somebody tells me when there's naysayers or something, I'm always going, maybe that was for you. Maybe that worked that way for you, but not for me. And I'm going to prove that it will be different. And you don't know me. You don't know where I come from. You don't know my ambition or how I'm going to get there. So I use it as fuel, actually.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing thing. And as we're talking about this topic of being conditioned for success, just hearing you speak, I see that you have a lot of confidence in what you do. But a lot of women struggle with that, with feeling unworthy for success. So what tidbit of advice could you give to help people feel worthy to pursue the things that they really desire to do?
Yeah, how do they feel worthy? You know what? I got to be honest with you. I just believe that you can do it. I mean, that's all. It's all in the mind. I think it's all in the mind. And I think that, a lot of times we will let that negativity creep in. And it's like, no. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I'm one of those people who believe that. And I think it really is all about the mindset. And you've got to shift. You've got to constantly shift your mindset. And you've got to train yourself to think as positively as possible. You always got to train yourself to see the best in things. I often, I was a big fan of The Secret. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched that years ago, right? And one of the things that stuck with me out of that was taking the word don't out of your vocabulary. And when I find myself saying it, if I say, I don't like this, or I don't think I don't, it's like, oh, let me shift and change that. And that was a really big motivation for me that I needed, because I knew I was always on the right path, and it's how I conducted my life up to a certain point, 10, 12 years ago. But there's another book that I'm a big fan of, and it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. And it is one of the best books, and it helps with that. It's the same thing about the power of positive thought, and what we put out is what we're going to get back in return, and what you think about, you bring about. And so for me, that had been something that I definitely will recommend. Florence Scovel Shinn, it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope for a practical way people can start building up their mindset and that confidence to pursue what they want. Now, do you think, just speaking on mindset, do you think it's possible to repel success?
Repel it?
Yes.
Yes. Because I think there is a lot of people who feel that, again, the mindset says, maybe they feel they're not deserving, or they feel that maybe they'll be abandoning other friends or this and that, and they don't understand that, sometimes you've got to separate to elevate, and they don't want to do that. So I do believe that. And again, it goes back to me, I find that would be most likely a person's mindset. And many times, there are a lot of people that are coming from backgrounds that can be damaged or suffered some sort of loss or trauma or whatever, and they believe that eventually that this is all their life knows and this is all their life can be. So that goes back to, again, training yourself to understand there is good in the world, there is good waiting for you, things can be better, and it's just training you. It's just mindset.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. And I see people saying, preach Dee Dee in the comments, good stuff, Dee Dee. So yes, this is really good information. Okay. Now, to be an on-air personality, you have to have and maintain a very high energy level. How do you maintain that?
Okay. So, somebody just said, what was the name of the book again? I'm sorry, you guys probably can put it up. It's called The Game of Life. I'm at home in my office, and so I was trying to see if I have it out. But it is called The Game of Life and How to Play It. The Game of Life and How to Play It. Florence Scovel Shinn. I'm sorry, that question you were asking me, I'm sorry.
I was saying, to be an on-air personality, you have to have a lot of energy. How do you maintain that high level of energy?
I would have to say, I'm looking at my hair. I don't know why it's not cooperating today. See, I'm such a lady, right? Ladies, they get me. Okay. You look at yourself, oh my God. Okay. For me, I do drink a lot of coffee.
Okay.
I drink a lot of coffee. And the other thing is I take vitamins. And everybody at work laughs at me because I'll take a diet pill in the morning. I take a half of a diet pill. I swear to God, I really do. And the reason why it's not even about the diet. It just gives me a little bit more of an energy. That's if I'm sluggish. But most of the time, I've got to get sleep. I go to bed. Like, I have friends, and I'll let them know, I've got to be home at a certain time because I've got to get to sleep. I wake up every day at 3:30 a.m. So there's no hanging out. It's like, get your sleep. And I take naps during the day. I have to. Because not only am I on the radio so early in the morning, but you're going out, I don't want to have too many bags. Like, my concealer can't fix that.
Definitely. Okay, so caffeine, coffee, you get your sleep, vitamins, the diet pill. Excellent. So when I was doing my research, I've seen you've interviewed so many different world changers, from Obama to Hillary Clinton to Jay-Z and Beyonce. What has been your most rewarding interview that you've done?
Most rewarding.
On someone that left an impact on you.
Obama. Yeah, it was. I'll tell you something. That was the most amazing. And luckily for me, I worked on the national show. I'm trying to figure out, should I look up in there or look directly at you? What works better for you?
Where are you looking right now?
At you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right, fine. But for me, it was Obama. And again, I was working for a nationally syndicated show, and I'll never forget that he wanted to have the nationally syndicated shows like the Tom Joyner Show, Ricky Smiley, Russ Parr, Yolanda Adams, Reverend Al Sharpton's show, the show I was on, the Doug Banks Show, all of these, national shows that were urban, R&B, hip-hop. And he wanted all of us to come to the White House to have a conversation. And we were talking about healthcare and the importance. And we had a round table, like the 12 of us and him.
Wow.
And I was able to do that 2 times, which was amazing. But I could just always remember how smart he was. He was amazingly brilliant, but down to earth at the same time. And just, I just remember sitting there, and I remember looking at his hands. It's so funny. This is so crazy, right? I mean, okay. So I remember going, and I'm looking at his hands, and I'm looking at his hair, and I'm looking at everything about him. And I was trying to, because they took our cell phones and everything, and I was trying to remember as much detail about him as I could so I could describe it to my mom. And I want to be able to describe to her in detail every little thing about him. So I'm sitting there in that moment. It was the most surreal, awe-inspiring, unbelievable thing ever in life. So,
yeah, no, that's so awesome, and I love that you took that time to get the details.
Yeah, let me tell you, I'm one of those kind of detailed people, and I remember even just walking through the White House, and as everybody else was having fun, and I've been there for a celebration. I think it was the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. I'm not quite sure what it was, and then there was the a Christmas party, and as I'm there, everybody else is having fun and they're eating and everything. I'm looking at the White House china because I want to get a detail of that, and I'm looking at the pictures of the former presidents, looking at that iconic one of JFK. So I'm doing that kind of stuff, and I know everybody else is like, why isn't she eating the lamb chops?
Right. Yes. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. You guys, so as we're wrapping up this interview with Dee Dee, if you have any questions for Dee Dee, please go ahead and start typing those in the chat box. And as people do that, I wanted to ask you, so on your journey, you were a co-host for the Doug Banks Show, and then you end up getting your own show. But from being a co-host to having your own show, did you have any opportunities that presented itself that appeared to be almost the right thing? Like, did you have to pass up good to get to great of having your own show?
Yes. And I think that timing is everything. I think timing is everything. And having a gut instinct, knowing your business that you're in, understanding it wholeheartedly, completely, and understanding the landscape of your business is important. And so for me, yes, there were opportunities that I gave up to work with maybe somebody famous, I'm not going to say names, somebody famous, and it was the role that maybe they wanted me in, and I knew there was going to be no growth, or it was going to, even though it was more exposure, there was no growth in that. Or a situation where I had to look at, well, if I weigh my options, what is this one going to get me? And, so again, that's just me understanding the business that I'm in and understanding it is a business. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems, even to today, because I have a niece, sometimes I got to tell her, this is business. We're not playing anymore. You get out here and you're in the workforce, understand the business and the company at which you work for, because I think it helps. And so that way you have discernment when it comes to jobs that are presented, or you have a better judgment about, I'm not going to take that, because you understand the landscape of your business. So I have passed up a lot. I've been blessed enough to have a lot of interest. I worked on my reputation. I wanted to make sure that when I was the co-host on the show, that I was the best co-host that anybody had ever heard. And to be a good co-host is not about outshining the host. It's about complimenting the host. And so when people knew that of me, they said, she's good. And when he was out for sick or whatever it was, I was able to hold it down, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, she's just as good. And so, and he encouraged it too. He encouraged it, and stuff. So for me, I would say, I did do it, but know your business, and you'll know what opportunities to take and which ones to kind of go, bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm going to take a few questions from the viewers. So Secret Curl Society says, have you always had this confidence?
Yes. I'm the youngest of 5. And yeah, when you're the youngest of 5, and my brothers and sisters, I have actually, out of the four of us were in radio. 4 of my mother's children were in radio. Right now, 3 are. I have a brother who runs a radio station in Tampa and a sister in Connecticut. And so when you're the youngest of a family that is outgoing and they love to sing and dance and, all of this stuff, and you're the youngest, you have to. You kind of let them know, hey, wait a minute, you guys aren't going to, nobody's going to like walk over me. You're not going to miss me. And so I think that confidence was always there. But again, a mom who was always telling me to speak up, stand up straight, walk into a room, and, it's always like basically, no matter where you go, take your seat, meaning you belong. You belong.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, this is interesting to me. So 4 of your siblings are in radio. Who was the first to get started? Did you all see that person's journey and say, ooh, I want to try this as well?
What happened was I have a brother. He was in college, and when he got out of college, he ended up going, he ended up getting into radio. And then he got out and went into banking. And I always had an interest in it. I actually went to school, majored in journalism, had issues. I was talking about this on the radio this morning, and I'm not embarrassed to talk about it, but went to school and didn't have the money to go back, and so I was really wanting to be a news anchor. And so went back home, went to the local community college, got a job in radio, loved radio, but I always practiced, speaking and reading and doing things, reading out loud, and worked at a radio station, loved it, fell in love, and as they say, the rest was history.
Nice. And that leads to the next question. Someone said, did you go to school for radio and broadcast? But you said you went to school for journalism.
I went to school for journalism, didn't stay there long, and then took, other classes at home at our local community college down in Killeen, Fort Hood. That's where my stepfather was in the military, ended up being based. Took classes there. But once I got on the radio, within 2 years of getting on the radio, I was offered a job to go to the big markets. And then I was gone. Took advantage. I kicked the door in. I kept going.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to take a few more questions. Gabby says, how do you manage work life and personal life?
It's not bad. I mean, my hours I work, I'm normally, the show starts at 5 a.m. And I'm trying to hold this up right here. I hope okay, there it is better. The show starts at 5 a.m. and I'm done by 10:30 a.m. Come home, get some sleep, hang out with the husband. Luckily, he understands, because the moment that we got together, within 2 months of he and I actually meeting, I got back to doing morning show, because I did mornings for 10 years, syndicated, and then went to an afternoon show 2 to 6 for no more than a year or so. And then the local Dallas station called. So for our entire marriage, for the most part, he's been used to this schedule that I have. But we definitely make time. We do a lot of dating, with each other on the weekends, and, so it works. And family, They've moved here now to Dallas, so that makes it easier too.
Definitely. Awesome.
I don't have any kids, so there's no kids going, Mommy. I'm like, no, I don't have any.
Do you have any pets?
Yes. He's crazy. Yeah, I have a little dog, a little mutt my husband got off of Craigslist. His name is Dak.
Oh.
He's psychotic, but I love him.
Okay. I know a lot of people consider their pet a member of their family, so you always have to ask that.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, Dee Dee, as we wrap up on this topic of conditioning yourself for success, what is one last thing you want to leave with people that are watching this? This is Black History Month. People have a lot of aspirations that they're not pursuing. We talked about mindset already. But when it comes to really pursuing the things that they feel called to do, what is one last thing you can say to help people condition themselves for success?
Gosh, to condition yourself. You know what? Like I was kind of saying about whatever industry it is that you're wanting to get into, is learning the ropes and learning everything and be prepared for setbacks. Because I often tell people, was it a setback for me that I didn't get to go back to school to finish getting my journalism degree? I could have taken it as a setback, but I refused to, because I believe there's opportunity in everything. You've got to look and see farther than what it is. You know, so many people see the target of what they want only and don't understand there may be steps to get there. And I understand that. I tell people all the time, too, when I go to these schools and I say, you know, the biggest obstacle for achieving success is sometimes you don't know where you're going. You have to really pinpoint, and then the steps become easier. But I just kind of feel that's the same way here, is that to take advantage of opportunity, recognize it, and just go with it, you know. But there are times you may have to take, 2 steps backwards to take 1 step forward, 1 step backwards, take 2 steps forward. Whatever it is, it's a dance. And just be prepared for the dance. And don't let the dance get you down. Keep going.
Yeah, awesome. And actually, I saw one more question that came through, and I think this is a good one. She said, is there any advice you would give your younger self about being a public figure?
Any advice, being a public figure, any advice. I'm trying to think. Because you know what? As much as I'm public, there's a lot of stuff that's very, very private. There's a lot of stuff that I leave very private. So I think that for me, I would just say, as a public figure, enjoy it and understand that 1 minute they'll love you, 1 minute they'll hate you, and then they'll come back to loving you, and then they may hate you, and it is what it is. And you never let it affect who you are as a person, and never let it get you down, because what I do is radio, and it still is a form of entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing all of your nuggets, your tidbits of wisdom, the books that you recommend. We are so incredibly grateful. And once again, we honor you for Black History Month, a woman entrepreneur, a philanthropist, doing so much in the community. So thank you so much. And you guys, if anyone wants to be in touch with Dee Dee, can you just tell us when we can listen to your show and how to learn more about you?
You can listen here in Dallas or on iTunes. It's K104, 104.5. And you can listen between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. You could also find us on the internet, myk104.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Dede in the morning. Dede. Everybody always goes, how do you spell it? Dede, okay?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dede. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.